So whenever I need any object, I just say get bean and I pass the bean ID. The IOC container creates the object. Now depending on what I am using. So here I am using which dependency injection? So here the object which will be created by the IOC container, the ob the IOC container will use which constructor to create the object? And number 10 or 11? Line number 11, right? And here when the object will be created, this bean E2, when I am asking for bean E2 at line number 14, IOC container will create the engine object. It will use which constructor for E2? Line number 10 or 11? It will use line number 10 constructor because we are setting it through a setter. So it will use this style. It will use this style. While creating the object, which constructor is being used? And then what will we use? And setter, if I change the order, it doesn't matter, right? In random order, if I put anywhere, that's why in the setter dependency injection, the order of these properties do not matter, but the name of the property has to be same. And you should have setter getters, at least setters you should have, because these are all invoking the setter methods. So you should have setter. If you don't have setter method, the property will not work. Okay. So similarly, if I want to make a gear class, so how will I make a gear class? So I'll make a new class gear, and what attributes will I have for a gear? Private integer, how many lever the gear is, private string the gear manufacturer, and private double, let's say gear, what is the price of that? Simple. So now if I want to do this, what will I do? Source, first create your class, constructors, source, and source to string, right? This is ready. So now I need to create two beans of this. So what will I do? First I'll use constructor dependency injection. So maybe I'll use this in the beans. Now what changes do I have to make? G1, which class it is, gear, and now I have to pass three things: number of levers in the gear, so it's a 7 lever, manufactured by Tata, and 50 units as price. And if I want to use the second style, I will use this. Okay, so G2 and here, now here second, let's say, now I have to go and fetch all the attributes over here, because yes, so that I don't have to flip again and again. So first is gear lever, property is it is 8 lever gear, gear manufacturer. Let's say it is Mahindra. And third is gear price 60 units. Once I have done this, so we can use this also in our driver app. We can use both the styles, and I want G1, I want G2. It is a which class? Gear class. So gear class object will be needed to hold it. As it is a separate package, you have to import it. Once done, everything looks good. We have to display the gear, right? We have to display the gear. Save it. Let's run and check. There are red zone. Something red has happened over here. Something red has happened over here. What has that happened? Duplicate local variables. Okay. Engine 1, engine 2, gear 1, gear 2. All good. Run and check. So now the IOC container is loading. Okay. So this whatever initially display on the console, that is the IOC container is loading, and see it has got all the objects. Correct. Now the test is when I create the car class. When I create the car class, the car has a dependency of engine and gear. So IOC container will manage the dependency injection also for me. So now the third model class which I'll create is called as the car. All attributes of the car will we have private string car manufacturer name, private string car model name, private string car color, private double car price. Okay, and then along with that we will also have the car also needs an engine, and the car also needs a gear. Now this is a dependency. Now car has dependency on engine and gear, correct? Okay, so now let's add all those stuff which we need, which we are normally adding. So if I am adding a okay. So now for this, when I will create, so if I want to use constructor arguments, I have to pass how many constructor arguments do I need to pass? How many constructor arguments do I need to pass? The car has how many constructor arguments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 over here. What is the order? You should know the order because they work in this order. So first I need to pass car manufacturer name. So let's say I pass Honda. Then I have to pass model. Okay. Let's say Honda City. Color white. Price 1000 units. And then two things also I have to pass now. What are they? Engine and the gear. Correct? Okay. What is called by value? What is called by reference? Okay. Copy of that is passed, right? And in call by reference. So what is passed by call by value? What is passed by call by reference? Primitive, non-primitives. Primitives are passed by, and non-primitives are passed by. So from this, what are the non-primitives I am having in this class car? What are the references I am having? Car class. They are non-primitives, correct? Object. So you will pass them as value or as reference. As reference. So here you will not say value, you will say reference. And now which I want to pass this engine in the Honda City, electric engine made by Tesla. Does anyone know any model of Tesla? Does Bhagwan, you know any Tesla model? S8. Tesla S. Okay, so the Tesla is the manufacturer. Model name is S. White color 1000. Having which engine now? Tesla engine, right? What is the What is the engine? E. Okay. And having, so they have outsourced the manufacturing of the gear to Tata. So it will have this start 7 lever gear. Gear G1. So value or reference? And now my task is done. So now I will get the car class with the with the dependencies injected. So which engine will the Tesla S have? 1000 electric engine. And which gear will it have? So now if I want this car, what do I have to do? So will I say new keyword anywhere? No. Just take it from the IOC container. Let's check this out if it is working. Control Shift O, import the car, right click, run as Java application, and now it will give you the car with the dependency injected. Okay, car manufacturer Tesla model S, car color white, price 1000, engine is 1000 cc electric Tesla engine, gear is 7 lever Tata gear. So IOC container not only created the object of car but it also injected the dependencies. Now which dependency injection did it use over here? Constructor dependency injection. If I want to set a dependency injection, then right. So here we will have to take all the attributes and we have to be very particular with the names. That is all we have to take care of. So I'm making a C2 of class car and then manufacturer name. These are all the attributes which you have to. Okay, so let's say Toyota, model name. Any good model of Toyota? Fortuner. Car color. Okay. Black color. And car price. 2000 units. Now what are we left with? And so here you can say property name and directly here you can say now I want to use second engine. So I will say reference it. Okay, and then in one line the entire property will come. Okay, so like this when you are passing property you can pass like this, no need to pass extra value. And last one is here and let's use G. No value required, no property required. And this kachra also we will remove. Okay, all good. So now let's go to the driver app and let's see if we can get the second car also with all the dependencies injected. Right click, run as. Okay, black color Fortuner, petrol engine made by Honda, and a 7-lever gear made by Mahindra. Okay, all good. So now we will try to explore some more things, some more attributes of the bean tag. So how many attributes have you studied till now? ID and class, right? These are children attributes. Property and constructor, they are children attributes. But for the bean tag, we have only studied two attributes. So let's study the third attribute, that is called scope of the bean. Okay. So what is the third attribute? Bean, the attribute called scope. Okay. Now this attribute has two values. By default, it is singleton. By default, it is singleton. But it has one more value called as prototype. So the scope has these two values, either singleton or prototype. Now what I mean by singleton is, so you know these shopkeepers or hotel owners, they have this QR code scanning machine, right? So and when you make the payment, it sort of there's a audio which plays that payment has been done and how much amount has been credited. Okay. So if a restaurant owner has, let's say, a footfall of 500 customers per day, now going by today's trend, how many might be paying online? 70%, 80%. So 80% means 400 people are paying online. So will he have 400 such machines, QR code machines? One machine is sufficient, right? when will, so if that restaurant opens at 6 a.m. and shuts down at 11 p.m., so what time should that QR code machine be there in the restaurant? 6 a.m. Let's say the owner takes it home for charging. It is charged, it has to be charged, right? If he takes it home for charging, when should that machine be back in the restaurant? If his son is coming to the restaurant at 7 a.m. and if the owner tells the son that while coming, please get that machine, I have kept it for charging. Now he will lose out on the revenue for 1 hour. Whichever customer says online payment, he will say no, today there is no online payment, right? So that machine has to be in office at 6 a.m. And if any customer comes and gives a request, now customer one, let's say that first hour they have 10 customers. So all of these customers, will they get a separate QR code machine or will they access the same machine? The same single QR code machine, right? Because it is a single machine in the entire hotel. So all are accessing this same machine, right? So what happens is, whichever bean whose scope I mark as singleton, and even if I don't provide, it is by default singleton. So if you don't specify, it is still by default singleton. The IOC container at loading time. What time? So this is when the IOC container is loading. You know, initially, if you see this, so what is it doing? It's loading. It is telling that at 6:51 I am loading. Blah blah blah. At loading time, it will create all the objects. It will create. It will create the objects of all the singleton beans of the. How do you know it is a singleton bean? Yeah. So because of the scope attribute. So whichever bean scope is singleton, the object of that bean will be created at what time? Yes. IOC container loading time. It will create all the objects of which beans. So if there are 10 beans, will it create for all the 10 beans? Out of the 10 beans, let's say 5 are singleton, 5 are prototype. So which all objects will the IOC container create and keep at loading time? Only 5 which are singleton beans. And then whenever a request comes for that bean, whenever request will come for that singleton bean, it will return that created object. It will not create a new object. So whenever request will come for that bean, whichever object which was created at loading time, that object will be returned. So this QR code machine is there in the hotel at what time? Opening time. Whenever customer requests for the QR and bill payment, they will return the same machine which is there at the opening time, right? So that is the meaning of scope equals to singleton. So how many objects are created of singleton? Only a single object. How many objects? And if 10 time it is being referred, will it create 10 separate objects or that single object only will be shared across all the 10 references? So how many times will the constructor be called of the singleton bean? Only once, because constructor is called at the time of object creation, and only one object is created, so it will be called only once. So if I come here now, let's say, and I turn this car 1 into scope equals to, okay, will not work on this for turn. To make life easier, to make it easier, maybe we'll try to experiment on this engine. So what am I saying? Scope equals to, what is the default scope of this engine now? Is Singleton, right? So which constructor is it calling while creating the object? All args constructor. This constructor is being called. So if I put a message over here, sys out all args constructor of engine class called. So how many time will it print this message if I create two objects? If I create two, if I twice, if I say get bean E1, get bean E1. Okay, so maybe I'll give you all an example over here. I'll copy and paste this driver app for bean scope. Okay, so now I have made a new driver app. So now if I come here and if I say engine E1, engine E1 again. So how many times am I accessing this bean? Two times. So two times will it call the constructor? Only one, because the scope is, writing it for the sake of writing it, because even if I don't write, by default it is still singleton. But just for the sake of the subject, I am writing it. So how many times will this? So it will call the all args constructor. How many times will it call the all args constructor of only once? Okay, so now this all args constructor is giving me. Okay, so this object which is there, 1000 electric Tesla 100. This object will be created at what time? What time will it be created? At the loading time, right? Let me plug in my laptop for charge. Yes, guys, am I audible? So that one object which will be created at address 1000, okay, having all the features of the engine such as 1000 cc electric Tesla and 100 units, right? So this object which is created now, address 1000. When is this object created? Time of IOC constructor loading. Okay, when is the IOC constructor loaded? When the object is created, this time. On line number 12, the IOC is loaded. Okay, so here, if I sys out high, so will it display me high first, or will it display me all args constructor of engine class called first? What will display first? No, it will not display high first, because at the time of the IOC container loading, it has made the object of the singleton bean. So the object has been made before high. Are you getting Abdul Shakur? What? So what will it display first? High or all are constructor called? Okay. So when now again when I say so, and this is being pointed by what? Which reference is pointing to this? Engine one. Okay. So I come here. So engine one is pointing to which reference? 1000, right? So now next time when I say engine 2 can give me the same bean, will it call the constructor? And engine 2 will also point to where? Again 1000. So engine 1 and engine 2 are pointing to the same address. So if I say engine 1 equal to engine 2, what will you say? True or false? If I say engine 1 equal to does a reference comparison, what does it do? So are these two pointing to the same object? So what will it give me? True or false? So can you trace the output for this now? So first it will say engine class constructor called, right? And then it will say hi and then display the engine without calling the constructor, display the engine and false, correct? So my question is how many times will the constructor be called? Only once. Before high or after? After a high or before high? Yeah, see, okay. See, all our constructor of engine class called only once. Before high will displaying that object and then it is saying true, yes, because both are pointing to the same one. But it is only a singleton bean. Okay. Then there is one more type of bean called as prototype. Called as what? So if I let's say turn this engine E2 into prototype, scope equals to type. So what will happen over here? So if this is a South Indian restaurant, so this is a South Indian restaurant, and out of this 500 people, let's say 100 people might be placing orders for dosa. Placing order for. So will the shopkeeper, the restaurant owner, create all the 100 dosas at 6 a.m. and keep, or will the dosa be created after placing of the order? And if customer one places order, will he get the same dosa as customer two, or will he get his own customized dosa? So if he wants it spicy and crispy, it will be made spicy and crispy according to him, right? And if customer two gives a separate order, he will get his own second customized dosa. So if he says no onion, no chili, then he will not add onion and chili in that vegetable which they give along with it, some potato, mashed potato. So now these two are pointed to the same object or different object. And now the constructor will be called once or constructor will be called each time. So now will the IOC container keep the objects predefined and keep it at loading time, or will the object be created dynamically when the request comes? So now if I come to the second bean, so engine E2 is what type? Okay, so I'm copying this and I'm commenting out this. Okay, so I'm commenting out the singleton scope. Now let's go to E2. So E2 will call which constructor? E2 will call which constructor while creation? Which constructor will it call? Which constructor will it call? Hmm? So now if I say over here, no args constructor of engine class called, right? So how many times will it display this? How many times will it display this? No arg constructor called. Once or so first it will display high or will it display no args constructor called? Why will it display high first? Yes. So now engine and E1 and E2 are pointed to the same object or different object. What will it give? False. Right? So what will be the output? What will be the output for this now? First high, then log constructor called, display the engine object, then yes, and then false, right? So this is your second scope. That is scope is equals to prototype. Okay. So see first, this is all logs constructor, right? So this is calling because of this. The bean scope is singleton, no E1. Singleton it will create, so it is calling that, and then it calls no args constructor of engine class called, and then high. From where is it displaying this high? Here it is creating the all args constructor, and then no args constructor of engine class called. Is there any other engine also? There is engine E1 and engine E2. Okay, then there is this car class, right? See guys, this car class C2, it is of what type? Scope. What is the scope? Singleton. So it is using E2, right? So it will it will call this also, no E2. So it is this E2 is being called over here. So if I comment out this C2, then it will not make the. If I comment out control shift slash. Now I've commented out what? C2. So C2 will not point to E2. So this will vanish then. Then I will have only my high, no args engine, no args engine false, as we had discussed, right? Right click, run as. Okay. What's the difference? What is the two types of scope? Now who will read to me? Who will explain it back to me?